So last summer, I came across a curriculum, homeschool curriculum called Gather Round Homeschool. And looking through, it looked too good to be true. And I know a lot of people had this reaction, but I've been using this curriculum. It's February now. I've been using it since October. And I'm here to tell you that it's as good as it looks.
Panda puffs, or Ham wants to finish off the panda puffs, or Hat brings like some graham crackers.
If you're new here, I'm Kate from Venison for Dinner. I'm a mom of 4 and homeschooler living in rural northern Canada. We tend to be on the unschooling side, but as our kids get older, our oldest is 10, 7, 4, 10 months old. As the oldest gets a bit older, I feel like I need a little bit of hand holding in making sure we're covering a wide variety of subjects. And I hate prep. I hate doing loads of prep. So this takes care of that prep for me and means I have no prep whatsoever. I just pull out the books and we get to schoolwork, and that is my style. This month we're on space, so I thought I would show you our space books. Mac is 10 and he's in the upper elementary. I got the teacher guide and Hamish is early reader. I guess I should start by saying that Gather Round is a unit study multi-age curriculum for homeschoolers. Although I'm sure you could use it in a school if you wanted to. It's Christian based, but if you're not a Christian, I don't think that should stop you. I think you can make it work really well. And it does teach other religions and worldviews as well. Every month is a new unit, and since it's a new curriculum, new units are still being released. Their goal is that they will have 4 years worth of 10 months worth of units so that you could go through, and when you get to the end, start back at the beginning, because by that time your kids will be significantly farther ahead. So we're not going to use all 10 units. We bought the whole year's curriculum of 10 units. The supposed plan is that you're supposed to start in September and end in June or whatever, like do 10 months of school, doing a unit every month. Well, we don't do that. We start in October and we end in April, and we don't do school every day. So I think we're only going to get through 5 units. We're over halfway through our 3rd unit and it's early February. So yeah, we're probably going to do 5 units altogether. So we bought this using funding money that we get here in British Columbia, Canada. And yeah, I think it's going to last us 2 years. So it's not based on grades. There's 6 levels from pre-reader to high school, and you choose what level you feel your child is at, and that's what one you print. When you buy it, you get all the levels and you get to choose what you're on. So I find that it takes us an hour, hour and a half for us to do our books, and that's a great amount of time for my kids. It doesn't take us all day. It covers every subject but math, and we also do additional printing practice because my boys need that. So we're going to start with the teacher's guide. On a school day, I say, okay guys, get your books. They get out their Gather Round, their math, and their printing, and one of them brings me my teacher guide. So let's flip to asteroids, comets, and meteoroids. So it tells you what subjects it's covering today, and you've got your lesson script. Now, there is additional activities as well as additional books, and I'm going to tell you right now, I do none of them. We do this book only, and it works just dandy for us. Like there's extension activities. No, we don't do those. We're good with what we have. So it's not a lot to read. It doesn't take me a long time to read it. If Marius happens to be home, which has happened occasionally, he'll read it to them. And then they pull out their books. And I don't know if I'm going to get to the right. So here is Hamish's comment. So, so Hamish is allowed to just draw a picture and then tell me about it. So maybe it doesn't look like much on paper, but he's dictated to me already, told me what it is. So it says write, draw, or dictate what you remember about asteroids, comets, and meteoroids. So what are comets made out of? Gas. What is a meteor? Rock, metal. Hamish is just really learning to read and print, so this is acceptable for us. It's going to be different for your family. So this one here is one that I read to both boys. It says here, same page alert. So Hamish has to answer multiple choice questions. This is reading comprehension and social studies. And then there's a Bible verse, copy verse. Oh, and we forgot to do the spelling words at the bottom. That's okay. So here's another same page alert. That's interesting. There's not usually multiple same page alert. But this one was all about cells, and Hamish just talked to me about differences that he saw, and that was acceptable to us. Guys, I think I picked a bad page because apparently I didn't check it very well, that he didn't actually finish doing the printing. He was trying to do the drawing and didn't get any farther. Oh, and then on to Jupiter. So I'll just show you another one that we haven't done yet. So Jupiter, circle Jupiter, and then write, draw, or dictate what you remember. Johannes Kepler, reading about it, I would read that to them, and then we didn't do Jupiter, but apparently he already answered some of the questions. So here's some language arts and reading comprehension. This one is another reading comprehension about idolatry and Bible, and then drawing Jupiter. I'm not sure why he did a couple of these because we haven't done this day yet. That's funny. So Freya also does the the early reader. The pre-reader book, I find, are not really as themed to the topics, and Freya didn't like that. She wanted to be on the same topic, so she does the early reader even though it's above her head. Here's Mac, he's upper elementary. So I just flipped to one here. Okay, so, oh, his book's not happy. So here is about astronauts. So write, draw, or dictate what you remember about astronauts. So training, what do astronauts do, life in space, interesting facts. So as you know, depending on your child's level, or sometimes just even depending on the day, if they're not super into it that day and you don't feel like a fight, they can draw or they can dictate. And some days they're gonna write, and it's not, you know, oh goodness, why is this, Mac needs a new book apparently. So here is one about social studies and about the International Space Station and mapping, and he's gonna have to locate different countries. Here is his Bible verse, and they start out like the first day they'll do a Bible verse and it will write it for them, and then it maybe prompts them, and by this day he's got to try and do his Bible verse without any prompting, although he usually does end up looking it up in the Bible. So here's additional Bible, and what was it here? And then he has to answer some questions about religion here that are just really simple, not complicated. And then he gets to draw an astronaut. Oh, and then we're on to the next one. So they're not long books. They don't take a really long time. And my kids seem to really enjoy them. Some people bind them or whatever. I just have binders that I reuse. I don't have to keep their school books. I can just take pictures of examples and then use the rest as fire starter, but I do keep my teacher guide because if we do this again, then I don't have to print it out again. A big thing that people deal with and kind of struggle with when they use Gather Round is how to print it. Do you print it to yourself? Do you get it printed by someone? I ended up buying HP Instant Ink subscription, and this has made it really low cost to print it in color. It means you do have to print it yourself, which sometimes feels like a bit of a hassle, but it's just significantly cheaper. And the Instant Ink is a subscription that when you get low on ink, it triggers a shipment, sends you more. You have a subscription based on how much ink you use, and I find it really reasonably priced, and it works well for us. So far we have done North American birds, Asia, and now space. And next we go on to Europe and then oceans, and that's probably gonna be the rest of our year. So North American birds, if you're buying the curriculum by the unit and not by the whole year, honestly, unless you don't know anything about birds at all, I would skip North American birds. By the end of it, we were doubling up and doing 2 birds a day. It got really repetitive. My kids know so much about birds already. I wouldn't do it again. Asia was super interesting. I learned a lot, they learned a lot. There's lots of add-ons to do with cooking and food that you can do. We did some of our own things, like we made pot stickers and we made ramen and we different things like that. I learned a lot with Asia too. I really enjoyed the country study, and I'm really enjoying, I'm looking forward to doing Europe next month. Space, we're now halfway through. I'm still learning things. It's a lot more in depth science-wise, and some of it goes a little over my kids' heads, but they gather enough of it that they really enjoy it and we can talk about it. And I'm really enjoying learning about space from a creation point of view. I went to public school. I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and my husband grew up in a Christian home and went to a Christian school. So he knows about all these things from a Christian and creation standpoint, and I know about these things from an evolution standpoint. And it's been really amazing to now learn about them from a creation standpoint. And I know some parents print out the high school book for themselves and they do their own gather round workbook. I'm usually making butter or cheese or doing some sort of kitchen project while I'm doing teaching, so I'm not doing that, but I could see how it could be really fun to do as well.